so many people, they were just like, well, this could be your job now. You can do something on the show. It was almost like giving them stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when the whole influx of new WCW people came in, they kind of did have a lot of people on their contracts thinking, well, what are we going to do with this person now? Because we ain't got enough TV time to give out to all of these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, are you on to the next match, Matt? Are you away from the Guerrero bit?
I'm still doing the interview that's still going on.
Let me know. Let me know exactly when you are, because I'll hit play again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He cut a good promo as well, Eddie. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Always fascinating to see Guerrero's physique, the way it changed over time as well.
Yeah.
You know, from a cruiserweight looking guy, especially in WCW.
Some people go for a dramatic change like that. It was like also with Triple H, wasn't it? It was like he went from quite a slender kind of guy to one of the most built kind of wrestlers going.
Yeah. So, are you past the interview, Matt?
Oh no, they gave him quite a long one. Yeah, it's just finished.
It was long, I'll tell you that much. Well, now we get to see, of course, the man who was given a contract earlier this year, but he's not active, I'll give you that. But I'm sure Matt knows him well. It's the Nature Boy himself, Ric Flair.
Yeah, and you know, as good as the guy was, you know, I'm more grateful for him actually having his daughter, because she is the real talent. You know, I'm not going to say Ric Flair is not talented. I'm just saying he couldn't do half the moves that she can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ric Flair at this point, of course. Now, when we spoke about this last year, he would have definitely been one that I would have wanted in at the first, you know, the invasion part. Because when you think of WCW, he's really up there along with Sting. But, you know, it's funny, Matt, because when Ric Flair come into this, he was just like sort of a co-owner. Little did we know he would go and wrestle some more, you know, and have a hell of a run with Triple H and Evolution and all the rest of it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he still had another match. You know, every time you think he's done, he comes back for another one.
Well, this is going to be an interesting match, Matt, isn't it? I mean, you know, Rick and Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, and I've got to say, this is one that's completely slipped my mind. I don't even remember these guys crossing paths, let alone this.
Yeah. I love Eddie Guerrero's kind of walk, his attitude. He's really good at being both. Like, he was a great face, really had the fans with him, but he was equally as good as heel that you're going to get. And of course, it was by him being a heel and cheating all the time that kind of got him over. People loved it, didn't they? In the end.
Yeah.
This is the reason this match should be interesting, because both these guys pull stuff like that all the time.
Looking back on this, like, it wasn't marketed as such at the time, but it's another one of those ones where you could think this is one of those like once in a lifetime kind of generational things, like much like what they had with The Rock versus Hogan.
Yeah.
A completely mirror opposite kind of the side of the scale. Eddie Guerrero is a hugely talented person of his generation, just as Ric Flair was of the previous generation.
Yeah. Not the way like Guerrero's going in like he's a boxer or some sort.
You know, if I was just channel surfing and I wasn't paying attention to the colour of the ring and the ropes, whatever, I think, what is it, WCW?
Guerrero mocking Rick there. Of course, if you go back on our wrestling arts shows that we do, go all the way back to Buddy Rogers, the Nature Boy, the original Nature Boy, where all this stems from, and here you go in 2002, it's still going on.
I've got to say, the strut is probably one of the most imitated poses. If someone's going to imitate one, they always imitate that.
Yeah. It just goes to show, I'm sure Buddy Rogers back then didn't realise how much that was going to be duplicated years to come. But yeah, these two guys, like, you think of styles, you think of where they come from, like Mexico, and Ric Flair being around all that time in the territories. Like, it's just such a unique kind of thing to have two completely different kind of guys from such a different background up against one another. Not just sort of like age-wise, but just where the heritage has come from.
He must have been quite old at this point, Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So would you have been on the side of Ric Flair during this one, do you think?
I know that would have been, yeah, I know that would have been. Because it was around this kind of year that is when I started to get hold of really old tapes of the territory days, and then I started to realise that Ric Flair just wasn't just WCW, it was like all this kind of stuff from 1975 upwards, from the territories, which is pretty much where he'd done most of his best work. But those matches with Ricky Steamboat, pretty legendary. And I used to watch those like going on for about an hour or so, just like non-stop. The one thing I'll give Ric Flair is, no matter how old he got, he always seemed to have a really good pace. Like his body, he must have looked after his body pretty well, because he could always cut a decent pace with a lot of the younger guys that he was up against at the time.
Yeah, I mean, he looks in great shape, and even his hair is in good condition.
Yeah, no one can get a Ric Flair kind of hairdo like that, can you? I mean, that hair is just like, it's like Hogan's kind of moustache. It's just synonymous, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and it's always been white. Was it white in the 70s?
Yeah, it was, yeah. It was just like the done thing. But I think that he probably, from very, very early on, he really kind of like looked at, he must have studied Buddy Rogers a hell of a lot, because not only did he do his strut and all stuff like that, but it was the way he carried himself around the ring, like as being this kind of guy that could just, similar to how Charlotte does in the women's division now, like you can see she's carried on the trend as well, but it's that just the way to carry yourself as the star, and Ric Flair always done a very, very good job at doing that over a long time. Because
what is amazing as well is like I think he's at this point 53.
Yeah, something like that.
And we've seen like Sting come back and recently, and he looks in better condition at this point than Sting did when he made his comeback.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, obviously Triple H was a massive Flair fan. There's no doubt about it, because given what he gave him in it, and of course Triple H's character kind of become Ric Flair for a little while, in Evolution. I felt for a while. I think they were trying to do the Four Horsemen bit, but just a lot, a much shorter run. But obviously they elevated Batista and Randy in the same time, so it made so much sense. But you could tell Ric Flair was gonna, if Ric Flair said he wanted to do something, he was probably going to be able to do it, with a little bit of stroke from Triple H at the time, because of course he managed him for quite a while as well, didn't he?
Yeah. then eventually Triple H would turn on him.
Yeah, several times.
He did address the fact, though, that why does Ric Flair climb to the turnbuckle when he knows full well he would never land anything?
Yeah, the unanswered question. But yeah,
that's a unique kind of hold there.
Yeah. You've got the leg sort of torn in, sort of one. Not sure what that's meant to do, but looks good. Give you that. Who's going to do something? Oh no, here we go, roll up. I mean, Ric Flair was always famous for a roll up pin. That was his kind of thing. He always used to have a lot of victories like that, or pulling the tights or something.
I kind of associate low blows and eye pokes with Ric Flair.
Yeah. So we're now seeing Guerrero on the back of the leg here. Now Guerrero at this point, it's worth mentioning that he was almost, I think, being taken quite serious now as a guy that could potentially be a guy. But the problem is that WWE at this time still weren't sold on a guy his size, being able to carry a company. But eventually, Matt, I mean, when you see guys like Angle, especially, they had a tremendous match at WrestleMania 20. Really enjoyed that match between those two guys. It's one of those matches that doesn't really get spoken about that much, but it was a hell of a match that night, and they won at SummerSlam the same year as well. And I thought those guys had really good chemistry, but you don't get too many people mentioning those matches, probably because Angle isn't in it as well. But those two had some tremendous matches going forward. But eventually, of course, Guerrero would get elevated to such a high level.
Yeah, I guess it's like the size factor that plays into it quite a lot. But I guess at the time, I kind of felt like they were being held back a little bit because they hadn't really paid their WWE dues.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've been WCW and done a lot of stuff there, but I always kind of felt like WWE liked someone to prove themselves within their own company before they'd give them too much. Even though that goes sort of contradictory to what happened with Brock.
Yeah.
But I guess he was WWE made.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of had that kind of worry about AJ as well. I was worried about the direction they would take him in, and I kind of felt a little bit weird when they were putting him up against Roman and he was coming off a lot of losses.
Yeah, it was almost like he kind of had to earn it by jobbing a few times and showing that his attitude was right or something. Even though the guy we know he is, but it's like WWE's kind of weird way of making sure.
Been quite a brawling kind of match. I'm surprised.
It has been, yeah. Guerrero completely whacking him in the corner, non-stop pounding it. It's just amazing to think that everything that Guerrero wants to kind of do and Familiar does, he's able to do it on a Ric Flair. You have to be so careful with guys that come back that age nowadays, considering what's happened. And yet Rick was working pretty much a full-time schedule at this time. He was on Raw, sort of going for it.
That is one hell of a tan Ric Flair's rocking.
Oh yeah. That makes the hair stand out even more, doesn't it? The style that these two guys are working reminds me a lot of the matches that we're probably likely to see on our sort of wrestling arts shows. Like there's very much a lot of traits of that in this one.